What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and inks, and welcome to Track Talker, part of the Lactic Acid Network. I am your host, Dominique Smith. Hope everybody is enjoying the hot summer months. And guess what? The only thing hotter than the sun is the action on the track and in the field. And we are here to cover it today, specifically focusing in on the college athletes. The NCAA Championships just passed. And man, if you missed it, you missed a treat. So we're going to go over some of the great things that we saw out in Austin, Texas. Obviously, not going to go over everything because there are too many things to go over. This would be a long show, and later on in the week or early next week sometime, just depending on how schedules shake out, we will go in detail on how tough it is to double and in some respects triple when you talk about the relays at the NCAA championships and just sustain that high level of greatness, talking about Caitlin Toohey, talking about Brenton Wilson. So we're going to dive deep into that. Both young ladies with tremendous performances in their respective events. But this was track sometimes is very predictable. And what I mean is Sydney McLaughlin's racing Levrone. She's racing the 400-meter hurdles. Okay. Chances are, based on what we've seen and the progress that she's shown and how she's dominated, okay, she's going to win. Usain Bolt, every time he steps up on the track, he stepped on the track, fair shot that he will win. Thinking of some of the other, Ryan Krauser, he's just a walking world record, throwing machine. Anytime he touched the shot put ring, it's just a matter of how far he's going to throw it, specifically how far and by how much he's going to break his own world record. Those are the athletes. It's kind of predictable. Faith Kipyegon, don't matter what event she put in 100, she might break the 100 world record. She's already broken the 1500-meter world record. Did that in Florence, turned around with the pairs, broke the 5K world record. So there's nothing this woman cannot do. The 29-year-old, she's just incredible. And so we're going to talk about the pro track scene in another episode. But I tell you, man, going in to NCAAs, everybody was focusing on Caitlin Toohey, Brenton Wilson. Those are some of the big names on the women's side. And the men's side, we talk, about obviously Jaden Hibbert, who, let me tell you something, he's going to win the Bowerman. Just put it down. He's going to win the Bowerman. He's one of those guys, and I'm getting off track here, and I do apologize, but Jaden Hibbert, just for a freshman from Jamaica, y'all got you one. And I do believe that is the next world record holder in this event. He is phenomenal, and I'm really excited to see what he does this summer. The remaining of the summer headed into Budapest, because he's phenomenal. And the fact that he's just a freshman, that he's 18 years old, and he's just breaking all sorts of U20 world records and all sorts of collegiate records is just insane. But the men, it's the men wasn't even predictable in a sense, because there were certain things that we expected that just did not happen. And I think that's what makes the sport great. On any given day, it don't matter. You can lose. You look at some of the performances, and we're going to just some of the things that stood out to me. Caitlin Toohey ran the 1500. She came in 7th place. It was very warm. She ran a very aggressive race, rather. Ends up not competing in the 5K. Parker Valby, man, I don't think Parker gets the respect that she deserves, because it's been a tough road for her. Just being hurt the past couple of years, changing coaches in the middle of the season. Still don't know what that injury is. And she just gutted out a phenomenal performance. Just hasn't raced that much, but when she has raced, she's shown incredible heart, incredible grit and toughness. And that 10 points was crucial in the Florida Gators securing 2nd place to the Texas Longhorns. So we're going to get to the winners in just a second, to finish in the team title. So just the fact that she was able to show up, we were expecting Toohey versus Valby, but this was still a great race, man. I think Parker, that was definitely something that stood out to me. And shout out to the winners of the NCAA Championships, the Texas Longhorns for the women, the Florida Gators for the men. Speaking of the men, we're going to get to Florida in a second. It's a little controversial, but I have to say it. Texas Tech should not have been disqualified from the 4x1, and they got incredibly screwed. I understand the rule in big time is they were looking at the baton. It can't get past the mix zone and not the body, but the baton, or just based on the rule, it was not correctly enforced. And that really hurt Texas Tech because of the remarkable performances that they were able to string together in their other races. So you look at, Terrence Jones in the 200 didn't win, but he did have a strong performance. Courtney Lindsay was the winner of the men's 100, which was impressive. 1089, just in college. That's impressive in its own, right. And so I just have to say that they did string together some phenomenal performances, and they should not be ashamed of what they were able to accomplish. But they did protest. Protest didn't work. And so, regardless of that, the Florida Gators are the champions. And Mike Holloway, to me, is the best coach in the history of Florida athletics. Debate your mama on that one. I understand Steve Spurrier, I understand Urban Meyer, I understand Billy Napier, I understand Anthony Nesty. Mike Holloway is the GOAT of the Florida Gators. And so he proved you cannot, there's certain people, we talk about it in different sports. This year, the team that we really kind of say this about happens to be the Miami Heat, who could lose, and but still, just the fact that they made the finals. It's one of those teams you got to beat them when you can, because if you let them stick around, it's a problem. Mike Holloway's Gators are in that category. If you let them stick around, it's a problem, and they find ways to produce, and that's exactly what they did. You score 19 points in the 400. You take first and second. Patterson, guess what? He comes around and he has a big time performance in the 200, giving them points. They found points in so many different ways, and it was enough to propel them to the win. And then obviously the collegiate record in the 4x4, which was a phenomenal race with Arizona State, neck and neck until the end. Ryan Willie was able to hold them off. So the Florida Gators, that is an impressive squad to meet. The Texas Longhorns on home soil. Julian Alfred, man, let me tell you something about Julian Alfred. She's different. She's different. She is phenomenal. And guess what? This is a hot take. It's a hot take. Happy birthday, Julian. Hope it was lit. I understand that the win was not in their favor. 1072. And I think she ran let me double check. 21 90 something. Gosh, I even forgot the time in the 200. But Julian Alfred is the Bowerman winner for the women. In my opinion, it's Jaden Hibbert for the men, Julian Alfred for the women. 4x1 champion, 200-meter champion, 100-meter champion. Consistency all year round. 694. She tied the indoor record or whatever, broke the collegiate record when it comes to the 60, 694, and then you come to the outdoor and run 10.7. She is phenomenal. And so just to get a chance to watch her run has been a joy. And she lifted Texas. She carried Texas. But Texas, listen, they dropped it from the start. She was something serious. That 4x1 was something serious. A delicate, man. We talked about Brendan Wilson being the favorite. And let me tell you something. Brendan Wilson deserves her flowers, because what she was able to accomplish, even though she didn't win, she ran 49.64. Dude, like, what the heck? That is incredible. And so a delicate run at 49.2. Man, what a performance by her. And she just started this in October when it comes to the 400. So that was one that stood out to me. I look at Jasmine Moore and her remarkable performance. That stood out to me, breaking the collegiate record again in the triple jump. I've said it so many times on this show. She does not get the respect that she deserves by any means. And it's her consistency and her leadership has just truly been remarkable for Holloway and the Gators. Not sure what she's gonna do, but I'm just telling you, man, she is somebody who has just been consistent all year round, and it has been amazing. Just been amazing to see. Couple more. Michaela Rose, LSU, SEC balled out. Let's just get it straight. SEC balled out, and Michaela Rose in the 800, 159. Her and Will Summer. Let me tell you something. Those are two of America's next best 800-meter runners. From Georgia, 144.25. And he ran it with such confidence. Michaela Rose ran that with such confidence. And I think the way that they won, taking control of the race and just being dominant in every facet of it and improving, they both kind of had similar goals. It was mentioned in the broadcast, rather, that they wanted to improve upon the last portion of their race, the last 100, 200. And they did, and they were able to separate from the field. And so those were two remarkable performances. It's not as if the U.S. needs any help on the women's side in the 800. Like, let's just call it what it is. But the men's, man, will he's going to do great things. Onzuriki. If I messed that up, forgive me. Young man from Stanford who balled out in the 200. Shout out to Stanford, yo. He's leading the charge for me with his 200-meter win running 19.8. And then obviously going sub 10 and 100. Stanford had what, 3 or 4 guys, something like that. I think 4 guys, and they still came in 3rd place. How crazy is that? So Stanford is maybe a field event, a relay, or another runner away from. They just need 1 or 2 pieces. Coach JJ Clark is a mastermind. So they just need 1 or 2 pieces, and watch out for the Cardinal, because that was impressive what they were able to accomplish. Last but not least, I got to go to the throws. Turner Washington, national treasure. The NCAA ought to be ashamed of themselves for multiple reasons. Coach Holloway mentioned it on an interview with Flow Track that he was disappointed with the officials, and Texas is going to take the blame for it. And he is so right that they shouldn't, because this is an NCAA championship. Everything should be on the NCAA. Everybody, I don't care who you root for, who is your team. We just talked about it with Texas Tech. This meet was poorly officiated on all fronts. And there's so many things that I believe are going to come out over the next day, the next, series of days and weeks about the horrible officiating that took place. The only good thing that they did was they gave that young lady a green card in a women's 100. I do believe, I understand it, and now with the technology on the pro end, it's just a hot mess. But I do believe we should be more, in a sense, I think a warning. Major championship, if it's something, go back, use eye judgment, give out a green card, let them run again. That's just me. That's another conversation for another day. Colonel Washington uses a huge throw from Arizona State, comes back and wins and dominates, takes his shirt off, runs into the stands, celebrates. The officials say, "Oh, we're good." He got warned, basically, that they were going to DQ him for unsportsmanlike conduct. I think that's just a bunch of crap. I'm just being honest with you. Let the kids have fun. It's a big time moment. You win the championship. You have a remarkable journey. You come back and win the championship. Let him enjoy. He wasn't hurting anybody. He did not do anything egregious. It's not like he went streaking or anything of that nature. He was just trying to enjoy the moment with his team, with the fans, and it was just an exciting moment. He gave an incredible post-championship winning interview, and I do just wanted to highlight him because I thought that was a remarkable feat, rather, that he was able to accomplish. The officiating, like I said, we have to have a conversation about that because there's a lot of great talent that got messed up and messed over due to poor officiating. And when you get to a big time meet like this, you cannot have any bad officiating. And so the fact that the officials were who we are talking about, the fact that it seems like they wanted, I don't know, I don't want to say they wanted to be seen, but in any sport, in any big time event, officiating, you don't want to talk about it. It should be non-existent, and it wasn't, unfortunately, which is devastating for the athletes, but it is what it is. So that's all I wanted to say. I want to know what was y'all's biggest and favorite moment from the NCAA championship. Obviously, we didn't cover everybody. There's so many people that we missed out on. Love, peace, chicken grease. Didn't mean to. Incredible performances all the way through. Talk about, couldn't talk about steeplechase, so many other, things. And shout out to some of those distance runners for battling, those fun temperatures in Austin. It's normal for us here in Florida, and in Texas it's normal. But naturally, it's not, fun to run distance in that. But who stood out to you all? Who did you guys think gave such a great performance that it is worth mentioning? I want to hear it. Put it in the comment section. As always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever, iHeartRadio, we are on it. Stay tuned to our TikTok page, Lactic Acid _podcast. And like I said, listen to anywhere you get your podcast. Leave a good review, leave a nice review rather, if you like the content that you're hearing. Until next time, love, peace, and chicken grease. We're out.